Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and today we have a question from a longtime viewer of the channel who asks, can you make a video on this topic that would touch on what to expect if the company's lawyer wants to settle the case? Yeah, of course. Happy to help. So this is a very, very common situation, right? Often the employer's attorneys will want to talk settlement. In fact, often the first thing they say when they receive a letter from your attorney is, what do you want? What are we talking here, right? And if they're doing that, then what you need to be doing is speaking with your attorney. Your attorney needs to be calculating your damages, giving you advice about what your demand should be, having an interactive conversation with you about your demand, and remember that your demand, your opening demand, is they're not going to just say, oh, sure. Whatever you ask for, they're going to try to negotiate, right? So, you can't just go straight to what you want, right? If you're saying, oh, in my head, minimum, I want 80 grand, good that you know that. I hope that's based on actual numbers. Like, I hope there was a damages calculation done and like economic damage or split out from emotional damages. And you had frank conversations about all those different forms of damage with your attorney, and you discussed if punitive damage is in play. You understand your demand, right? And you know where you want to end up. And then you have a conversation with your attorney like, but that's where I want to end up. So where do we start? And you have a conversation with your attorney about that, about positional demands and the kind of the give and take and the science of that. And all of these things should be triggered by the employer's attorney saying, I'm interested in settlement. Or at the very least saying, I'll hear you out. What do you want? What are we talking here? Right? And it's very common. But the thing to avoid, right? If the employer's attorney says, oh, all right, well, I'm a reasonable human being. You got a claim potentially here. I don't know if I think it's a good one or not, but what are you looking for? That's not your cue to be like, $30 billion. Like, that's not how that works. And I've heard that a lot. Like, I smell blood in the water. False. You do not. You are just talking with an attorney who understands the basic core concepts of this industry and is not trying to bill his client to death on a case that he should settle, right? The other side wanting to settle with you is not an indication that they will not try the case. It's not an indication necessarily that they fear you, right? It is some indication that they look at your claim and say, well, that's not junk, right? But it's not the same as like, they're quaking in their boots. They're in the corner at night, just shaking. That's not, no. I mean, it's possible that it may be how they feel about your claim, but the attorney saying, let's have a frank conversation about settlement, is not an indication that they are in fact in the corner shaking with fear. That those are two different things. One does not correlate to the other. And what I would say is the only thing the other side coming to you and saying, go come to your attorney, hopefully, and saying, hey, we should talk about settlement, the only thing that means is you need to do a damages calculation with your attorney and have a lot of frank give and take conversation with your attorney about where you should be demanding, what you should be talking, what the negotiation should look like, what your expectations are, and why, and all of that. That's what needs to happen when the defendant's attorney comes and says, let's talk settlement. I don't know if we'll get anywhere, but let's talk about it, right? Or also, remember, there are definitely defense attorneys who just want to talk settlement to churn hours so they can charge their client more, right? There are lots of defense attorneys who will just try to get your attorney on the phone for hours. Just talking. Why? Because they're making $1,100 an hour talking. That's why. They're probably playing little computer games on their computer while they're on speakerphone with your attorney trying to argue about the case. Like, it's just, and I love when they try to argue the case on the phone. Like, excuse me, is this like a telephonic trial? What are we doing here? What are we doing here, Steve? Well, I thought you wanted to settle the case. You want to argue it? Cool. We'll schedule an arbitration. Let's go get a court date. See what the magistrate judge has on the docket, right? These attorneys who try to like litigate the case on the phone during settlement negotiations, nonsense. They're trying to bill, and they're wasting time. They're wasting their clients' money. They're wasting everybody's time. In my opinion. Anyways, that is what I would expect if the employer's attorney wants to talk settlement, and that is what you should be doing if that is what the employer's attorney wants to talk about. I hope this helps. Thank you for being a longtime viewer of the channel, and go get paid. Like and subscribe if this helped you. It helps me to help many more people just like you.